Hello, my name is Fraser Simons. This is my channel, Springboard Thought. Today I'm going to be talking about Wee Jane by Aimee Wall, the last book that I've read for the Giller Prize Longlist, and so should round out all of the books that I've read. I did the shortlist before the final prize was announced on the 8th of November, which was What Strange Paradise, which was a middling book for me, but a lot of people like it, so check it out. This book is about a woman, Marthe, who is struggling with adulthood. She's deep in sort of a malaise. She's 23, 22, something like that. She is no longer in her hometown. She has one fairly close friend that she is with, and she sort of is just following her in a slice of life type situation. And she constantly is not getting what she wants out of life. She's sort of aimless. She's sort of nomadic, even though she is mostly staying in the same spot. And for a number of reasons, she decides to follow her friend home to a small town, I believe in Newfoundland, on the island anyway. And there she sort of starts falling into old patterns. She's trying to find herself in a kind of coming of age story, but also the sense of interiority is much more complex because her interiority is reflected in the Wee Jane, the anonymous collective in Canada that supports women and is known for abortion rights and is a slice of Canadian history. She is sort of going through a trajectory in her life where the collective of Jane is sort of a presence that she feels. It's like an interconnected web, something that both is foundational and gives her meaning, hope, and some uplifting, collectivity, ostensibly without her knowing. And it's something that slips in and out of the narrative pretty seamlessly, and I guess sometimes it's jarring because especially for the first part of the novel, you really don't know what Wee Jane is referring to. She's suddenly, a collective noun. Honestly, the prose are just so phenomenal. The interiority is so well realized. The prose work, structure, and just everything gels so completely that it has no problem sort of flip-flopping the reader themselves into the same moods as the actual protagonist, which is a little, it's quite bold is what I put, I think, in my Goodreads review. Not every reader is going to want to experience that kind of depth of sadness, but I thought it was very empathetic and grew my empathy for the character, and so by proxy grew my empathy for Wee Jane, the collective, and so I thought it was just phenomenal. It is somewhat opaque, and I wish it was more overt in what it was doing, especially because of the history that you kind of need to be aware of in order to capital G get this book, basically. You probably need to do a little bit of background, which is a little strange. At the very end of the book, there is a little bit that the author goes into, but not enough really to kind of like expound on what you've digested of the book, so much so that it would be like more of a transformative or revelatory experience for you, which is a bit strange and maybe a little sad that it didn't go to that length, but also it is a little reasonable for most Canadians to know what is going on, and it is on a Canadian prize. So if you like sort of off-kilter coming-of-age stories, if you don't mind sadness, and if you don't mind most of the book being centered on interiority, sort of kind of like A Passage North, you could relate it to. It is not completely plotless, but the preoccupation or the tension around her going back to her hometown and sort of slipping into these old haunts, these old patterns, and the angle with the abortion rights and how that comes into the book is all the plot that you're going to see, pretty much. You can't really count on anything super juicy except for if you're into family drama / neighborhood drama, which really is emblematic or indicative of small town Newfie life. Everybody's knowing everybody else's business, having opinions about it, the gossip, the almost milkman type ascribing of roles by the community onto specific individuals, especially young women, is present. So if you like milkman, that might also be an angle into the story for you as well. But otherwise, it's a pretty short book that makes the point that as much as women are marginalized in society and constantly navigating this very steeped in misogynistic culture, they also have an ingrained culture within them that might be of use to them, which I think is fantastic. And I really liked how that collectivity was inbuilt into the story, even if it was, again, a little bit opaque at first. If you're trying to pick up some Giller books, this would definitely be one of the highest books that I would recommend people. I would recommend The Listening. I would recommend this book. I would recommend Dream of a Woman, the short story collection by a trans woman of trans women. That was phenomenal. And probably Fight Night as well is a top one for most people if they like childhood narrators and relationship dynamics between a child and her grandmother. That's very endearing. That's also a really good one. That would be my top 4. Otherwise, I think that's all I have to say on the book. I will talk to you next video. Bye.